Hello and welcome to Blytheway Business News. And in this edition, I'm joined by Mark Learmonth, Chief Financial Officer of Caledonia Mining. Caledonia operates the Blanket Gold Mine in Zimbabwe, currently listed on the London AIM market and also on the New York Stock Exchange, a ticker of CMCL, and a market capitalisation of around £110 million. Mark, you've just announced your sixth increase in dividends since 2019, since October 2019. That's remarkable by anybody's standards. How are you doing it?
Well, it shouldn't come as any great surprise because we've been delivering what we've said we're going to do. We've finished this central shaft project. We're increasing production now. The cash flows are getting stronger, and we've always said that we intended to share the incremental cash flows with shareholders, and at the same time also retain some cash for new ventures. And so we're doing exactly what we said we'd do. And I've got to say, I'm disappointed that we can't say that we got an unbroken quarterly record of dividend increases. When the coronavirus hit us, or when the coronavirus sort of came to the fore in sort of April 2020, we could have actually increased the dividend again then, but we just thought it prudent to hold fire. So yeah, it's our sixth dividend increase, and as cash flows continue to improve, I think there's no reason why it shouldn't continue to increase.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to hold it against you. You couldn't increase the dividend during COVID. You were certainly not alone in that. So I think we'll let you have that one. So the dividend continues to increase. The cash keeps on coming down the mountain towards you. So financially, a great performance, but you've also just released record production figures for the second quarter. Tell us a bit more about that.
And again, no surprise, we've said that for this year, 2021, we expect to produce somewhere in the mid 60,000, so between 61 and 67, so call it 65,000 ounces, compared to about 58,000 ounces next year and 80,000 next year. So given the fact that we did get off to admittedly a very slow start in quarter one, due to various reasons, we've got some catching up to do. So we did only about 13,000 ounces or so in the first quarter, over 16,000 ounces in the second quarter. And if you extrapolate to achieve, say, the mid 60s, 65,000, we're going to have to do better than that for the next two quarters. And that's very much as we've planned to do. So it's the writing's on the wall. It's just a question of delivering against that.
All right. So production is going up, and a long-term plan to keep increasing production in the next couple of years. Dividends going up. You're delivering all that from Zimbabwe. Tell us a little bit about the operating environment in Zimbabwe right now.
Okay, the only significant operating difficulty in Zimbabwe remains electricity, and it's a combination of power outages, or if not just straightforward shutdowns, we're just asked to reduce our power consumption, in which case then we have to use the standby diesel generators, which we can do. And in addition, we get very dirty power. It's subject to quite extreme voltage surges, which given the very poor, like non-existent status of the equipment on the government side of the fence to protect us, means that when we get those surges, we're at risk of damaging our own equipment. So when we see those surges, typically we turn off from the grid, and we run our diesel generators, and we can manage that. But it does mean that we have to use ever-increasing amounts of diesel, which is somewhat expensive, clearly as an environmental adverse effect. But also it's quite risky for us because getting hold of large quantities of diesel at relatively short notice in the middle of Africa can be quite challenging. So what we're doing is, as you know, we're embarking on our first phase of a solar project. We've made the orders for the equipment, I think a week or so ago, and that should start turning up towards the end of our summer here, our Northern Hemisphere summer. And we should start seeing some progress on the ground towards the end of the year and get the thing up and running sort of early next year. And that's the first phase of the electricity project. And that will give us about 27% of our average daily usage. We'll be keen to do further projects, sort of build that project out further, but then we need to have some sort of mechanism to deal with the surplus power that we'll produce from time to time. But that's a work in progress. So operationally, that's the biggest issue we face. From a financial perspective, we do still continue to see a high degree of instability and volatility in the financial environment in Zimbabwe. The rules are constantly changing, and that remains a work in progress to make sure that we get paid and we can externalize the money that we earn. And that it's always been an area of real focus for us, and it continues that way as well.
But of all the management teams, you clearly have a track record of doing it. So.
Yeah, we manage. It's where we live. It's what we do. So we managed to do that, and I'm sure we'll continue to manage to do it.
Okay. So look, great announcement on dividend, great announcement on the production. Looking into the second half of the calendar year, what can we expect to be coming out of Caledonia?
Well, you can expect the second half year production must be higher than the first half. So first half we did less than 30,000. If we're going to do 65 for the full year, you're going to be looking at sort of 35,000 for the second half. And the extra production is highly cash generative for us. Our marginal cost per ounce is very low, and so that just turbocharges the rate of cash generation, notwithstanding what the gold price may and may not be. And we're continuing to see encouraging signs that the assets that we're pursuing in Zimbabwe looking increasingly as though they may be dislodged, and we may be able to get our hands on them. So we've already got 2 assets which we're doing work on at the moment, and the work that we're doing is still in progress, and so it's too early to speculate on what might come out of that.
Mark, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again soon. That was Mark Learmonth, Chief Financial Officer of Caledonia Mining, updating us on the increasing dividend, the increasing production, with more increases in production to come and further growth from the company to come. One to really keep our eyes on. That's it from Blindway Business News for today. Thanks for watching.